You need the 10 best loadouts to dominate ranked in Season 8? I've got you covered. These are the 10 loadouts that will get you the win. Stop guessing what to use. This list is all you need. We have setups for every playstyle and every game mode, so let's jump straight into my personal favorite. This first loadout is a universal base that works with every single AR, SMG or LMG, as long as you're playing Respawn. The base is simple. For perks, you want Overclock for a faster operator charge. For your green perk, you use Quick Fix for mid-range fights, or Vulture if you're playing closer range. Then, Dead Silence for stealth, obviously. And lastly, another red perk, Dauntless. It allows you to bypass every single slowing effect, whether it's a concussion, a cryo bomb, a gas grenade, or even a disable effect. But that's not the only thing Dauntless does. It also enormously reduces the amount of burning damage you'll take from things like Manowar thermite rounds or the Purifier. With that perk setup, I personally use a Molotov and a smoke grenade, but a Semtex or a contact grenade also works. For the tactical equipment, a flash, a concussion, or a trophy system works perfectly. My go-to operator is the Annihilator, but you can use pretty much anything. Here's a quick list of what works best in ranked: the Claw, Tempest, War Machine, Equalizer, Kinetic Armor, and the Misdirection device. As a secondary, I usually run a melee weapon for the movement speed, or a machine pistol if my primary has a short mag. And for the weapons, I use this exact base with literally 6 different guns: the VMP, USS-9, RAM-7, the Odin, the DRH, and the Peacekeeper. The second loadout I use in Respawn is for a way slower playstyle. Basically, this is what I use with my Type 63. For the perks, I run Overclock, Toughness, and Hardline. Overclock gives you better operator charge. Toughness helps you handle flinch, which is crucial on snipers and DMRs. And Hardline is there, obviously, for better score streak farming. For that reason, I'm also using the wildcard for an additional score streak. My setup is UAV, Shock RC, EMP system, and an advanced UAV. For the operator, I'm obviously using an Annihilator, as it's the most efficient thing with this playstyle. For lethal and tactical, I'm going with a Molotov and a trophy system. Simple, but efficient. And for the secondary, honestly, use whatever you prefer. This is going to be your panic weapon with a tricky primary, so you'll probably have to use it a lot. For your information, I go with the machine pistol. Now for the third loadout, and this one is quite weird. Okay, so the goal here is to charge your operators as fast as possible. The Overclock perk and the Unit Support perk both help you do that. Now, there's a wild card that allows you to use 2 operators at the same time. If you play inside the OBJ with these 3 things combined, you can get 1 operator per point in a really good game. So, I use that setup with the VMP, along with the Equalizer and the Claw as my operators. The rest is pretty much up to you, but since I was playing inside the objective a lot, Vulture seemed like the better option for health regeneration. I used a trophy system to protect myself against throwables, and the Molotov to block entries. For the secondary, a machine pistol. And that's pretty much it. This is absolutely not a standard loadout, but if you're playing with friends, you play specifically inside the objective, and you ask them to manage the spawns, this can work perfectly. For a fourth and final Respawn loadout, this is designed for pure slaying, specifically for spawn trapping and domination and control. For this, you want large magazines and versatility, so there's nothing better than a Flex AR. A Type 19, XM4, or a Peacekeeper is perfect. Along with that, you need a highly individual and flexible operator skill, so an Annihilator, Kinetic Armor, Misdirection device, or a Death Machine is typically what's required. For score streaks, we'll throw in the typical UAV, but the perks are what really separate this from the first loadout. Overclock isn't useful here. We want to maximize our individual capacity. For that, we'll be using Lightweight and Skulker. Next, we'll use Quick Fix for a more reliable health source. And lastly, for the blue perk, you have a choice. You can either use Dead Silence for stealth, or Survival Training for tactical equipment resistance. You can build the fastest killing weapon in the game, but it means nothing if your connection adds a delay to every single shot. You're giving the enemy a head start in every fight, no matter how good your loadout is. That's why I've been using ExitLag Mobile, our sponsor for this video, to close that gap. In my tests with the Odin on an already good connection, my average ping without the app was around 40 milliseconds. With ExitLag on, it consistently dropped to just 32.5 milliseconds. That's a nearly 8 millisecond advantage just from tapping one button. That 8 milliseconds means you see the enemy sooner and your shots register faster, turning trades into clean wins. If you're serious about your performance, you need to control every stat you can. Try ExitLag Mobile for free for 3 days using my link or the QR code on screen, and use my code KITH for over 15% off a subscription. A huge thank you to ExitLag Mobile for sponsoring this video. Their tech works on over 800 games, so you're covered no matter what. Alright, now let's get back to the next loadout on our list. Alright, now that we've cleared the respawn loadouts, let's go over the builds for Search and Destroy. First up is the single sniper loadout. For this, the sniper choice is up to you, and the secondary is too. You can run a melee weapon for movement, or a typical secondary like the machine pistol or the shorty. The perks, however, are critical. The most important things are obviously toughness and dead silence. In S&D, one of the best red perks is restock. With a sniper specifically, you could also use Iron Lungs or Agile. Those are basically the two most efficient red perk options. For your equipment, it's up to you. You can use a trip mine and a trip sensor, or Semtex and a trophy, or pretty much anything you know how to use. But the trip sensor and trip mine are basically the two best things you can use in S&D. For score streaks, the UAV, Shock RC, and Hunter Killer Drone are the only three you'll ever need in this mode. And that's pretty much it. Shotguns are highly efficient in S&D, so you're gonna need a dedicated shotgun loadout. The specific shotgun is up to you, the BY-15, KRM, HSO-405, R90, it's your choice. For the secondary, I would honestly tell you to run either a J358 or a machine pistol. Now, perks are incredibly important. For the red perks, lightweight and restock are honestly your best options here. For the blue perk, it has to be dead silence, obviously. The green perk is where it gets specific. Gung Ho is incredibly important on the one-pump shotguns. However, for a gun like the R90, it's not necessarily the best option. For that, something like Hardwired would be a better help, or maybe Ghost, depending on if you pay attention to trip mines or not. And for your lethal and tactical, the two best options are the contact grenade and the concussion grenade. There's nothing more efficient than these two with a shotgun. It helps a lot for entry. For our next two loadouts, we're focusing on overkill for maximum flexibility in S&D. Fighting at long range with a close range weapon is a death penalty, so these combos solve that. The first overkill option is a shotgun plus an AR. My go-to is an HSO-405 with an Odin. For the perks, you'll need Gung Ho for the green slot to work with the shotgun. For the other two, you'll run restock and dead silence. The equipment should be a trip mine and a trip sensor, and the score streaks are the standard S&D set: UAV, Shock RC, and Hunter Killer Drone. The second overkill option is for players who prefer to snipe, an SMG plus a sniper. My favorite pairing is a VMP with a freeline rifle, or a Tundra if you're still feeling nostalgic. The key perk difference here is that you'll run in the green slot for sniping. The rest of the setup is the same: restock, dead silence, a trip mine and trip sensor, and the standard S&D score streaks. Using these flexible overkill loadouts works incredibly well. I think it's actually the most efficient strategy I've ever used, all game modes considered. To round things out, let's cover two loadouts designed specifically for Frontline and CDM. The first one is built around a simple idea: kill fast and stay alive. For this, we want two weapons with an incredibly fast time to kill and, if possible, for them to complement. That's why we'll go for the CX-9 Burst paired with the Type 63. For this playstyle, you don't need restock or overclock, you need pure individual efficiency. We need lightweight to flee as fast as possible when we get a kill. We also need Gung Ho to be able to reload while doing that. And we need dead silence because dead silence. Just like in S&D, the trip mine and trip sensor are the most efficient equipment for these modes. For the operator, you want something that can kill efficiently: a claw, a ballista EM3, an equalizer, a purifier, an annihilator, or a vortex are all absolutely incredible. For score streaks, we'll use the same ones as S&D: UAV, Shock RC, and Hunter Killer Drone. This setup should get you through most of the toxic TDM and Frontline games easily. The last loadout you'll need is the exact opposite idea. Instead of killing and fleeing, we'll do the stay and spray loadout. For that, you need an LMG, preferably the MG42, the PKM, or the RAL MG. As the second weapon, you have a choice. You can go for something like a shotgun. It's not the most flexible option, but since it kills instantly, it's incredibly efficient in these modes. Or you can go for something a lot more flexible like a USS-9. Since we're on a stay and spray strategy, you want area denial equipment like a gas grenade, a Molotov, or a cryo bomb. You can also go for a trophy system in case you want to apply the stay part as literally as possible. For the operator, since you're on the defensive side, you want something perfect for holding a line like a death machine or an annihilator. Lastly, for the perks, as we're staying in one spot, dead silence isn't a necessity, so going for survival training is way more interesting. For the red and green perk, we'll go for restock and quick fix, as that will be the most efficient combination in this specific situation. And that summarizes what you need for TDM and Frontline loadouts. You have all the loadouts you need, but if you want to know the best guns right now, you gotta watch this video on the left.